The port at New Halcyon always woke hungry. Lights bloomed across the ring like cautious stars. Cargo booms creaked, and 1,000 ships inhaled power from the grid. Evelyn Thorne stepped from her shuttle and felt the station's pulse through her boots metal, electricity, and a rumor of fear. At her heels, 2 dragons moved as quiet as thought. Ashwing, all warm embers and bold eyes. Lumen, pale as dawn, whiskers tasting the air. She was here to mediate a dispute over stolen starfuel, not to intervene in a royal affair. But fate rarely asked permission. Down the concourse, a small yellow taxicraft nosed into Bay 12, engine cough disguised as a purr. Its pilot, a human in a scuffed jacket, popped the canopy and climbed out with the nervous grace of someone living one fare away from disaster. Evelyn read the name stenciled beneath the cockpit, Kai Mercer. His passenger unfolded from the shadows. Tall, cloaked, a face like midnight glass. When she lowered her hood, the temperature in the bay seemed to fall. Her eyes were wine-dark, pupils a narrow ring of red. She looked at Kai the way a cathedral looks at a believer expecting him to kneel. "Queen Vara," Evelyn breathed, too soft for anyone to hear. Exile or not, a vampire matriarch walking the public port was a storm wearing shoes. Kai forced a smile. "We're here, Your Majesty. Meters." Still ticking. Vara's attention flicked toward Evelyn and the dragons, then back to the pilot as if cataloging threats and choosing a favorite. "Your taxi was prompt," she said, voice smooth as poured velvet. "I pay my debts." She stepped close. Too close. The bay lights made a red crescent in her eyes. "Credits work," Kai said, hands up in a peace sign he instantly regretted. "No need for." "My people seal payments with a kiss," Vara murmured. "It is custom. It is law." Evelyn moved before the word finished dying. She lifted a hand, palm open. "My lady, forgive the interruption. Port policy forbids biologic exchange on the open deck. Fines are severe." Vara did not look at her. "Elvish counsel," she said lightly. "Rare. And yet. The law I honor is older than your ports." Ashwing's frill flared warning. Lumen's scales brightened, a soft halo building where skin met air. Kai lowered his hands, swallowed once, and reached for his wrist pad. "Let me just." "You will be paid," Vara said. "But not with numbers." She leaned in. Evelyn was already moving. She crossed the deck in 3 strides, cloak whispering, dragons gliding at her sides. "Queen Vara," she said clearly, "your right binds protection. If you kiss this man, you anchor him to your danger. Is that your intent?" The Queen's smile was small and devastating. "It is my intent to live." From the catwalk above came a flicker of movement, silent, insect-sleek. Drones latched onto the ceiling struts with needle legs. Hunters. Their matte chassis swallowed the light. Evelyn didn't think. "Shield," she whispered. Lumen's light snapped from pale glow to solid radiance, a curved wall that covered Kai and Vara in the breath between heartbeats. Ashwing planted himself in front of Evelyn, chest heating. The drones fired. Blue-white needles of energy struck Lumen's shield and scattered into sparks. The smell of ozone filled the bay. "Down!" Evelyn shouted. Kai dropped. Vara did not. She stood inside the light like a statue choosing an era. The first drone descended on a cable, a stubby cannon blooming from its belly. Evelyn leaped. Her dagger flashed, thin and silver, driving upward through the drone's throat. It seized, split, and fell in 2 smoking halves. The rest retreated to the rafters, watching with blind patience, not cowed calculating. Port sirens wailed. Hatches clanged shut along the concourse. A voice barked over the speakers, steady and hard. "This is Captain Mara Keen. Bay lockdown in effect. All civilians stay behind cover." Vara finally turned to face Evelyn. "You interfere elegantly. I prevent debts you don't wish to owe," Evelyn said. "Release the pilot from your right. Pay him and walk away." Vara's laugh was almost kind. "Walk where, elf?" "Hunters taste my name in air." She lifted her hand. A tiny crest on her ring pulsed a dark star folded into metal. They will not stop. So neither will I. Kai stared between them, chest heaving. I don't. What is happening? Wrong fare, wrong night, Evelyn said. Stay behind the light. He looked at Lumen's shimmering shield, then at the dragons as if seeing them for the first time. You're with me? Ashwing snorted, a hot puff against Kai's cheek. Agreement or impatience? The drones repositioned. Their muzzles angled for joints, edges, seams, the places light bleeds. Hunters won't risk a full volley, Evelyn said. They want a clean capture. The first burst was a test. For me, Vara said. Evelyn didn't answer. She was listening to the deck. The station spoke through metal if you knew how to hear it. Under the sirens and steps and strained generators, she heard a new sound, a quiet sip, as if something were drinking from the walls. She tasted copper. Grid tap, she said. They're stealing power. Kai blinked. From the bay? From the port, Evelyn said. Someone wants the lights to go out. As if obeying the line, the overhead panels flickered. One by one, the bay lights guttered until only Lumen's shield, Ashwing's chest glow, and the red blink of the taxi's console held the dark at bay. In the hush that followed, Vara spoke without moving her mouth. The words brushed Evelyn's mind like moth wings. You hear the station. Interesting. Evelyn didn't reply. She looked at Kai. Pilot Mercer. Do you trust me? He made a noise between a laugh and a cough. You put a force field around me in 30 seconds. That's more than my last 5 fares. Good, Evelyn said. On my count, we move. Keep the dragon between you and open space. Do not touch the queen. Vara's smile sharpened. Oh? Afraid our custom will catch? Afraid it already did, Evelyn said softly. She pointed at the taxi. A faint, pulsing sigil had crawled across the windshield, dark, thorned script, tracing itself in frost, a binding. The queen had kissed nothing, yet the guess was there, clinging to the ship like a spider to silk. Kai saw it and went very still. Is that bad? It makes your taxi her beacon, Evelyn said. Every hunter in range can follow you by scent. Vara's eyes flashed. Efficient. You're using him, Evelyn said. I am paying him, Vara replied. With survival. The drones dropped. They had chosen their angle. 3 from the left, 2 from the right. 1 straight down, a surgical pattern to break the shield by thirds. Evelyn didn't wait. Now. Ashwing roared, flames searing through the dark. Lumen shoved his light outward, the shield swelling like a sail. Evelyn dove beneath the falling drone and cut its cable. It crashed, sparking, into the deck. Kai ducked under Ashwing's wing and slid across the bay toward his taxi, hands already moving over manual overrides he had never needed until tonight. Vara moved like water poured uphill. She stepped through the light, caught a dark mitter, and flicked it back with dispassionate grace. A drone died screaming in static. Don't drop the shield, Evelyn called. I won't, Lumen sang, light brightening until the air itself felt sweet. Captain Keen's strike team slammed the far hatch and spilled into the bay helmets, rifles, a wall of trained intent. On the ground. She shouted at Vara. Hands where I can see them. Vara tilted her head. You are welcome to die first, Captain. Keen, hold fire, Evelyn snapped. Grids compromised. If we throw plasma around, we cook everyone. Then end this, Thorn, Keen said, breathing hard. Before my people make a mistake they can't live with. Evelyn turned to Vara. Cancel the bind. Pay him clean. I will escort you to asylum. For the first time, something like sorrow moved behind the queen's eyes. There is no asylum for what I am. She lifted her hand as if to brush Kai's cheek through the light. But there is payment. The gas on the taxi flared, ink brightening the blood. The ship's engines hiccuped and purred, answering a law none of them had voted for. Every door in the bay slammed shut. The emergency locks clanged, then failed. The stillness that followed was not peace. It was a held breath. Evelyn felt the station shiver. The power draw she had tasted became a gulp. Somewhere deep in the port, something woke up and turned its face toward Bay 12. Ashwing's flame guttered once, then steadied. Lumen's shield thinned at the edges, fighting the drain. "Kai," Evelyn said, voice calm over the noise. "When I tell you to run, fly like your life is not the only one in it." His hands tightened on the throttle. "Understood." Vara's smile returned, fragile as glass. "Then let us see who hunts whom." Beyond the bay doors, a new red light bloomed, a hunter cruiser easing into position. Guns sleeping for now, mouths waiting to open. Evelyn drew a breath that tasted of iron and storm. "Dragons," she said, "with me." The bay lights died. The station exhaled, and the dark came down like a sentence. The dark was alive. It pressed against every surface of Bay 12, humming, whispering, feeding on the hum of frightened hearts. Evelyn Thorne crouched beside the taxi's landing strut, eyes half closed. She could feel the station's pulse stuttering beneath her palm grid siphoned, circuits bleeding power into something she couldn't name. Ashwin growled low, scales twitching. Lumen's shield guttered, flickering between gold and white. Across the bay, Kai Mercer sat in his cockpit, emergency lamps painting him in red. "Thorne," he said through the comm, voice too steady to be natural. "Whatever that thing out there is, it's got a lock on us." Evelyn opened her eyes. "Hunters. They're using your taxi as a beacon." Kai gave a shaky laugh. "Because of that curse thing?" "The guess," she corrected. "It's binding you to her blood signature." Vara stood at the center of the chaos, still as a statue. "It was the only way to mask my trail," she said. "They'll kill anything that moves." Evelyn's gaze cut toward her. "Including him?" "Especially him," Vara murmured. The bay doors groaned. Outside, the hunter cruiser's lights burned through the fog-long red, patient. Drones gathered like carrion birds, waiting for command. Evelyn touched her comm. "Keen, do you read?" Static answered, then the captain's voice distorted but alive. "Half the port's blacked out. Your bay's sealed. Whatever's leaching power just swallowed our grid." "It's the guess," Evelyn said. "She's tied into the core." "Then cut it loose," Keen snapped. Evelyn looked at Vara. "Can you break it?" The Queen smiled faintly. "Breaking a guess is like unwriting a promise." "It costs." "Whose life?" Evelyn asked. Vara tilted her head. "Yours if you keep asking." Ashwin's head jerked up. The sound came first a soft chime, like wind through glass. Then movement. From the seams of the deck, blood-red mist began to rise. It wasn't vapor, it was nanite dust, old tech reanimated by the Queen's signature. Kai stared through the canopy. "That's supposed to happen?" "No," Evelyn said. "That's the ship defending her." The mist twisted, taking shape vague humanoid forms of glittering particles, each holding ghostly weapons. One approached the taxi and slammed its hand into the hull. Sparks crawled across the windshield. Evelyn drew her dagger, its edge catching what little light remained. Lumen light burst now. The dragon flared, blinding brilliance spilling through the bay. The mist shrieked, scattering into ribbons. For a heartbeat, they could see the real enemy. Skeletal drones, their armor etched with vampire runes, teeth like vents clicking in hunger. "Company," Kai said tightly. Vara's eyes glowed crimson. "They are mine once removed. Children of the throne." Evelyn didn't look at her. "Then discipline them." Vara's expression softened into something unreadable. "They don't listen to me anymore." The drones lunged. Ashwing's roar filled the bay, fire cutting through the dark like sunrise. Metal screamed, melted, and fell. Lumen shielded Kai's taxi with a wall of light while Evelyn vaulted over the wreckage, blades singing. She struck once, twice precision born of centuries, and a drone's head spun away, sparks raining like molten snow. Kai slammed his throttle, engines whining. "Shields at 40%, Evelyn shouted. "Lift when I say." Vara caught her wrist mid-swing. You won't outrun them. But I can hide you, Evelyn yanked free. And tie us deeper into your curse? Better cursed than dead, Vara whispered. The queen knelt, pressing her palm to the deck. Lines of scarlet light spider-webbed outward. The air shuddered. For a heartbeat, every soundfire, gunfire, the dragon's breath folded into silence. Then the bay floor opened. Kai's taxi dropped through first, swallowed by light. Evelyn dove after it, the dragons folding their wings to follow. The deck sealed behind them like water closing over stone. They landed hard on a lower maintenance level. Emergency beacons flickered overhead. Kai stumbled out of the cockpit, panting. Next time, he said. I'm charging double. Evelyn almost smiled. You assume you'll get another fare. Vara stepped from the shadows, unbothered, not even winded. Her cloak flowed around her like smoke. You saved me a confrontation I did not desire. Evelyn's jaw tightened. We're not allies. Not yet, Vara said. But survival breeds strange friendships. Ashwing sniffed the air and growled. Something metallic echoed down the corridor. Kai turned. Please tell me that's your dragon and not another death squad. Lumen's light sharpened to a spear. Not us. From the dark, a voice drifted male, calm, too confident. Queen Vara, you've downgraded your entourage. Evelyn recognized it, the broker. She had heard his name whispered in black market channels, the man who sold wars by the pound. Vara's eyes narrowed. You shouldn't be here. I own the here, the broker replied, stepping into the light. His suit was polished shadow. His smile was currency. And the hunters? Merely a rental. Evelyn raised her blade. You tried to destroy a civilian port. He spread his hands, collateral. The queen carries something valuable, and every empire wants it back. The guess, Evelyn said. The key, he corrected. The guess isn't a curse, it's a door. When she kissed your human's ship, she linked her DNA to the ether core under this station. Once she drains it, every vessel in orbit will answer to her bloodline. Kai blinked. So, you made me her remote control? The broker smiled. Exactly. Congratulations, pilot, Vara hissed. Lies. Truth sells better, he said. Shall I prove it? He snapped his fingers. The ceiling lights flared. The entire level shook. Panels slid open to reveal black pods, their interiors pulsing red. Inside each, a humanoid figure twitched half-grown hybrids of flesh and machine. Evelyn stepped forward, dragons bristling. Stop this. Why? The broker asked. You of all people should appreciate efficiency. The queen feeds on blood. I feed on obedience. And soon this port will feed us both. Lumen hissed, his body flooding the chamber with golden light. The pods convulsed. Machines screamed as circuits overloaded. The broker only smiled. So dramatic. But you can't kill a transaction already paid in blood. He pressed a button on his wrist console. The floor below them split apart, showing a glimpse of spinning energy far below the ether core, bright and hungry. By dawn, he said, every ship here will be hers, or mine. Hard to tell the difference. Ashwing roared and leapt. The broker's image flickered. It was a projection. His voice echoed as it faded. Do bring her to me alive, will you? She's terrible for business, but exquisite for legend. The projection dissolved, leaving only the smell of ozone and the low, dangerous growl of dragons. Evelyn turned to Vara. You knew. I suspected, Vara said. But I didn't build it. Then who did? Kai asked. Vara looked up, eyes like eclipses. My maker. The station trembled again, deeper this time. Warning klaxons bled through the air. Core stability compromised. Evacuation recommended. Evelyn met Kai's gaze. You still want to charge double? He swallowed. Make it triple. Then earn it, she said. We have a broker to bankrupt. They ran toward the glow of the ether core. Dragons thundering behind them, the queen gliding like a shadow. Above them, the broker's laugh chased them down the corridor smooth, rich and full of promise. The port had been a battlefield before, but this time it would choose its own side. The ether core roared like a dying sun. Deep beneath the decks of New Halcyon, the walls themselves pulsed living veins of light, feeding energy into the heart of the station. Evelyn Thorne had seen many reactors, but never one that breathed. The light wasn't mechanical, it was alive, rhythm in perfect sync with the slow heartbeat of the world above. Kai Mercer stared through the glass walkway that stretched over the chasm. That's not normal, right? Evelyn shook her head. It's older than the station. Older than this system. Ashwing's tail lashed. It smells wrong. Lumen's voice trembled through their link. It's hungry. The Queen's reflection appeared on the opposite wall. Vara's eyes glowed softly, twin rubies in the half-dark. It feeds on starlight, she said. It was called the Night Engine before men named it Ether Core. Kai frowned. And that thing's connected to my ship because of your what space kiss curse. Vara's lips curved faintly. A guess, not a curse. It binds you to me, and me to this engine. You are the conduit pilot. Yeah, fantastic, Kai muttered. I always wanted to be a battery. Evelyn stepped closer to the glass. Why would anyone build something like this? Vara's gaze lingered on the light. My people didn't. We found it. A tremor rolled through the deck. Metal screamed far above. Ashwing's wings flared instinctively, catching falling dust. They're cutting through the station's skin, he growled. Hunters? Kai asked. Evelyn nodded grimly, or worse. The broker's mercs. She scanned the edges of the walkway. We need to shut this thing down before they use it. Vara's voice softened. You can't. The Night Engine is self-sustaining. It doesn't draw power, it remembers it. The stars it devoured still burn inside. Evelyn turned sharply. Then how do we stop it? Vara's answer was a whisper. You don't. You feed it differently. They reached the central platform, an altar of steel suspended above a pit of endless light. Consoles lined the edges, all sealed by living circuitry. Strange symbols, half-elf and half-vampiric, shimmered across the controls. Evelyn recognized her people's script, ancient, archaic, ceremonial. This writing, she murmured. My ancestors touched this. Vara looked at her. Yours built the shell. Mine bound the hunger inside. Kai stared between them. So you're telling me elves and vampires worked together to make this thing? Once, Evelyn said. Before war taught us fear. She pressed her palm to the panel. Lines of light bloomed beneath her skin, answering her touch. A soft tone filled the air. System recognizes elvish command. A voice announced cold. Artificial, feminine. Authorization pending dual blood key. Vara stepped forward. That's why the broker needs me. Before Evelyn could react, the air split with a deafening crack. Plasma fire rained down from the upper galleries. Kai dove behind a console, shouting, They found us. Drones descended on gravitic thrusters, sleek, black, silent. Their guns tracked movement with perfect precision. Lumen's shield shimmered into being, catching the first barrage. The impact shook the platform, fracturing glass beneath their feet. Ashwing launched upward, claws tearing into one drone, ripping it apart mid-air, sparks scattered like dying stars. Vara turned her gaze skyward. I will not be caged again. She spread her hands. Shadows pooled around her feet, coiling up her arms like smoke. Her voice deepened, layered with something ancient. The air dimmed, the light bent toward her. For an instant, the dragons faltered, uncertain. Evelyn snapped, Hold the line! Lumen steadied, light flaring harder against the creeping dark. Vara's power lashed outward, a wave of crimson energy that shredded 3 drones at once. But the backlash hit her like a hammer. She fell to her knees, gasping, black ichor running from her nose. Kai slid beside her, catching her arm. Hey, easy. Whatever you just did, it's killing you. Vara's smile was small blood-tinged. I was born dead, pilot. This is just nostalgia. Evelyn knelt beside them, scanning the core readouts. The engine's energy level is spiking. That pulse you sent it fed it. Vara's eyes widened. It answered me? The glass beneath them turned red. The light shifted tone deeper, darker. The night engine recognizes bonded blood, said the voice again. Host connection detected. Synchronization, 30%. Kai groaned. Don't tell me that means what I think it means. Evelyn swallowed hard. It's waking up and you two are its heart. Another tremor rippled through the platform, stronger this time. Metal groaned, cables snapped. One section of the walkway gave way entirely, vanishing into the abyss. Ashwin grabbed the ledge with his claws, roaring. Evelyn threw her weight forward, pulling him back just before it collapsed. Kai's eyes darted between the edge and the glowing core. We gotta get out of here. Evelyn shook her head. If we leave, it'll consume the station. We end this here. Vara rose unsteadily. Her eyes glowed brighter now, twin suns burning from within. Then I give it what it wants. What does it want? Kai demanded. Light, she whispered. But not the kind it can take. She turned toward Lumen. Dragon, lend me your fire. Evelyn snapped. Don't you dare. But Lumen tilted his head. If it saves life, I will. The dragon pressed his forehead to Vara's chest. Light poured from his body into hers, flooding her veins until her pale skin shimmered gold. The night engine's roar softened no longer a growl, but a song. Evelyn could barely breathe. The readings leveled. For a heartbeat, everything was still. Then, a metallic shriek tore through the chamber. A massive boarding pod slammed into the upper deck. The impact cracked the ceiling. Out poured armored mercenaries bearing the broker's crest. Targets in sight, one barked. Secure the queen alive. Kill the rest. Ashwing charged, flames spiraling from his throat. Mercenaries scattered, firing stun lances. One bolt grazed Kai's shoulder. He stumbled, swore, but stayed upright. Evelyn hurled a short blade, catching a soldier across the visor. Vara, now's your chance. Shut it down. I'm trying. The queen gasped, fingers pressed against the control node. The system won't obey. It's alive. The night engine pulsed violently, throwing everyone back. A voice boomed through the chamber, no longer mechanical, almost angry. Who feeds me without name? Vara staggered. It's conscious. Kai looked up at the swirling light above them. Yeah, and it doesn't sound happy. Evelyn grabbed Vara's arm. You can talk to it, command it. Vara's eyes blazed. Not command, beg. She stepped forward into the beam of crimson light and shouted in a voice that shook the air. I am Vara of the Broken Court. I offer you light freely given, not stolen. Take it and sleep. The night engine screamed. Then, slowly, the light faded to a dull pulse. The mercenaries froze, blinded by the sudden quiet. Evelyn exhaled, trembling. You did it. Vara looked at her trembling hands. No, she whispered. I only delayed it. Beneath them, the core still glowed faintly alive, aware, waiting. And far above, in the broker's distant command ship, a message flickered onto a screen. Synchronization, 87%. Commence retrieval. The broker smiled, lighting a thin silver cigarette. Excellent. The heart beats. Back in the core chamber, Evelyn looked at the dragons, then Kai, then Vara. We're not done yet, she said softly. The broker's coming. And this time, he's bringing the whole fleet. Ashwing's eyes burned like twin suns. Then let them come. The war fleet appeared like a bruise against the stars. Dozens of ships slid from hyperspace, hulls black and silent, their outlines shimmering with faint crimson light. Each vessel carried the same insignia, a fang piercing a sun. The mark of the vampire court. Evelyn Thorne watched from the cracked viewport of the maintenance spire, her reflection caught between the fire of her dragons and the cold of the void. He called them, she said softly. The broker wasn't bluffing. Below, the night engine still pulsed deep within the station, like a heart refusing to die. It hummed faintly through the deck, steady, rhythmic, ominous. Kai stood beside her, one shoulder bandaged, eyes tired but alive. That's her people, right? Vara, seated on the floor beside the wounded dragon, didn't look up. They stopped being my people the day I refused to feed. Ashwing lifted his head weakly. Feed? Vara's gaze darkened. The court found a way to drain stars to feed on starlight instead of blood. They call it evolution. I call it starvation by another name. Evelyn frowned. And this night engine. It's the core of that technology. Yes, Vara said. It was meant to end bloodshed. Instead, it made hunger infinite. A deep vibration rattled the spire. The fleet's lead ship, a dreadnought anchored in low orbit. A broadcast cut through every frequency. This is the broker, acting regent of the vampire court. Deliver the queen and her human vessel, or New Halcyon will burn. Kai swore under his breath. Subtle guy. Evelyn ignored him, turning to the dragons. How long until the engine stabilizes? Lumen's light flickered uneasily. Its pulse matches hers now, he said, nodding toward Vara. If she dies, it dies. Then she lives, Evelyn said firmly. And we end this. The hall trembled as explosions echoed across the upper decks. Port defenses were collapsing. Commander Mara Keen's voice cracked through the cum. Thorn, they're cutting through Section 7. We can't hold them off much longer. Evelyn grabbed her communicator. Get your people to the refugee ring. We'll buy you time. Buy it with what? Evelyn glanced at Vara. With light, they moved fast. Through corridors of shattered glass and bleeding wires, past empty rooms and flickering signs that once promised safety. Everywhere they went, the night engine's pulse followed them, a ghost heartbeat leading them downward. Kai read a power conduit on his shoulder, lumen illuminating the path ahead. Ashwing limped but kept pace, his scales blackened but unbroken. Vara walked last, eyes distant. You risk your lives for a queen who would have enslaved you once. Evelyn didn't look back. Maybe, but we're not your court. Vara smiled faintly. No, you're worse. You're honest. They reached the central chamber, the heart of the night engine. The once silent consoles now hummed with power. The broker's voice whispered faintly through the cum systems, smooth as oil. You can't fight hunger, Eve Thorne. You can only choose who gets to feed. She shut off the cum. He's wrong, she said. Lumen tilted his head. Then prove it. Evelyn knelt at the control altar, running her fingers over the glowing runes. This engine feeds on emotion, on hunger, fear, longing. That's why it never stops. But what if it tasted something else? Vara's eyes narrowed. Like what? Hope, Evelyn said simply. Kai blinked. You can feed a reactor with hope? Not alone, she said, but humans, elves, dragons. We all radiate energy when we protect what we love. It's measurable. The old archives called it luminous resonance. Vara tilted her head. You would change the food of gods, Evelyn smiled faintly. Every god falls to a new diet eventually. Outside, the first enemy dropships breached the hull. Explosions rocked the chamber. Alarms screamed. Kai slammed a fist on the console. We're out of time. Evelyn turned to Vara. You're the key. Link with me. Vara hesitated. If we merge, the engine might consume us both. Evelyn's eyes were steady. Or it might save everyone. The queen met her gaze for a long moment, then nodded. Then let's burn together. They joined hands. The night engine screamed. Light flooded the room, gold from Evelyn, red from Vara, colliding into a white brilliance that blinded even the dragons. The entire station shuddered. Circuits melted, reformed, and then something new was born. A heartbeat that wasn't hunger, but harmony. Above, the vampire fleet's weapons powered up, then flickered, died. Their systems overloaded as the engine's pulse reversed. The same energy they came to steal now surged back through their ships like a tide of light. From orbit, it looked like sunrise, one massive wave of brilliance spilling outward from New Halcyon, painting the black with color. Inside the core, Evelyn gasped. The power was too much. Her body trembled, her veins glowing faintly. "It's working!" she shouted. Vara's voice broke. "Not for long." Kai dashed to the controls. "What do I do?" "Redirect the charge," Evelyn yelled. "Use the beacon link, the taxi systems." Kai's fingers flew. The link between his ship and the core reactivated, the HUD flaring bright. "I can channel it, but it'll fry the drive." "Do it." In space, the broker's dreadnought convulsed. His bridge filled with alarms, his face twisting from calm to horror. "What is she doing?" he snarled. One of his lieutenants stammered. "She's reversing the flow, feeding energy outward." The broker hissed. "Impossible." The night engine's light lanced through the void, connecting ship to ship. Every vessel in the vampire fleet ignited not in flame, but in radiance. Systems rebooted, minds linked, hunger quenched. The vampiric curse dissolved into silence. For the first time in centuries, the court of hunger felt full. In the chamber, Evelyn collapsed. Vara caught her, blood and light mixing in their shared glow. "You fool," the queen whispered, trembling. "You gave it everything." Evelyn's lips curled into a faint smile. "That's how humans do it." The dragons gathered around them. Ashwing's breath came heavy. "The fleet is retreating." Lumen nodded. "No, they're kneeling." Vara looked up at the viewport. Hundreds of vampire ships now orbited in quiet formation, their lights golden, not red. "They're listening." Kai stood over the console, smoke curling from the ruined interface. "We won?" Evelyn, half-conscious, whispered, "We changed the story." Vara's gaze softened. "You changed mine." Above, in his crippled dreadnought, the broker watched the light fade from the void. He stared at the quiet stars and smiled thinly. "Let them have their peace," he said. "It never lasts." He pressed a button on his wristpad, transmitting one final command. Deep beneath the station, something ancient stirred, the last failsafe of the night engine. A heartbeat echoed through the metal. Evelyn felt it instantly, even in her exhaustion. "He's not done," she whispered. Vara rose, her eyes cold again. "Then neither are we." The dragons turned toward the rumbling core. And for the first time, the queen, the elf, and the human stood not as prey or predators, but as one side of the same war. The tremor began as a whisper. Then the whole station shuddered, bolts tore loose, bulkheads warped, and the air vibrated with a heartbeat that was not human. Deep below, the night engine stirred again, reborn not as power, but as will. Evelyn Thorne struggled to stand, her vision swimming. The chamber lights pulsed with a strange rhythm, too slow for machines, too steady for chaos. "It's him," she breathed. The broker triggered the failsafe. Vara steadied her, still glowing faintly with the residue of their link. "What does it mean?" "It means," Evelyn said grimly, "the engine doesn't need us anymore." Ashwing growled low, his wings scraping metal. "The light feels wrong." Lumen's scales dimmed. "It's thinking." Above, the broker's dreadnought limped through orbit. Its hull was cracked, engine sputtering. But he was alive, staring at a hologram of the station blooming with crimson veins. "Magnificent," he whispered. "A machine that finally believes itself divine." His lieutenant trembled. "Sir, it's reconfiguring the orbital grid. If it fires, it'll vaporize half the sector. Then witness the price of evolution," the broker said quietly. "And prepare my escape route." In the reactor chamber, alarms screamed. A bright fissure split the air, leaking arcs of raw light that burned through the floor. Evelyn could feel it through her boots, each pulse erasing something vital. The station was dying. Kai Mercer's voice cut through the chaos. "Okay, tell me we can still shut this thing off before it turns the sky into soup." Evelyn's hands flew over the console. "The failsafe overrides everything. It's rewriting the core sequence." The broker gave it a new command, self-detonation. Vara's eyes widened. "How long?" Evelyn checked the readings. 9 minutes, Kai swore under his breath. "Great. Enough time to die slowly, Vara turned to him. No, enough time to choose. She walked to the edge of the platform, the light bathing her like bloodied sunlight. The engine feeds on consciousness, she said. It mirrors the strongest will connected to it. Evelyn understood instantly. If someone stays behind links with it, they can redirect the detonation. Kai's head snapped up. Redirect to where? Into itself, Evelyn said softly. A collapse. It would implode instead of explode. Vara smiled faintly. Then the galaxy lives, and the one who merges with it? Kai asked. Vara met his eyes. Does not. Ashwin's growl filled the silence. There must be another way, Evelyn shook her head. The broker made sure there isn't. Vara stepped forward, her face calm. It's fitting. I birthed this curse. I'll end it. Evelyn caught her wrist. You won't do it alone. Vara's voice softened. If you join me, you die too. Then we die fixing what both our races broke, Evelyn said. That's a chefwai enough for me. Kai moved between them. No, you're both wrong, Evelyn frowned. Kai, he grinned weakly. Look, I'm already tied to this thing, remember? The gas runs through my ship, through me. Maybe I can steer it one last time. Vara's eyes flared. You're human. It will devour you. Yeah, Kai said. But I bite back. Lumen lowered his head beside the pilot. You're brave, little one. Ashwing exhaled, sparks crackling from his nostrils. And foolish, Kai smiled. Story of my life. They worked fast. Evelyn rerouted power from the outer decks. Vara created a tether of bloodlight connecting the control spire to the core. Kai climbed into his taxi one last time, the cockpit flickering with golden red energy. His voice came through the cum. Ready when you are. Evelyn pressed her hand to the console. When the charge reaches full, you'll only have seconds. I'll make them count. The floor shook violently. The engine's light expanded, bleeding up the walls. The timer hit 0:30. Vara whispered an old prayer in a dead language. Evelyn whispered one in her own. The dragons circled, wings folded, their scales reflecting the storm. Kai, Evelyn said, voice trembling, for what it's worth, you changed us. He laughed softly through the static. You say that like I'm gone. The taxi's engines ignited, glowing brighter than any sun. The human pilot smiled, eyes on the endless light ahead. Let's see if this thing can finally pay its fare. He drove the ship straight into the core. For one impossible moment, the entire station shone brighter than the stars themselves. Then the light collapsed inward soundless, perfect, leaving only a ripple that spread through the void like the sigh of a god. The night engine was gone. When Evelyn opened her eyes, the sky outside was clean. The broker's fleet was dust, scattered across the upper orbit. New Halcyon drifted in silence. Ashwing and Lumen hovered beside her, their wings dimmed with exhaustion. Vara stood at the viewport, watching the dawn of a new world. He's gone, she whispered. Evelyn nodded. He chose to be human, right to the end. Vara's lips curved into something between a smile and a sob. Perhaps that's what it means to be immortal, knowing when to stop living. The dragons lowered their heads. Evelyn closed her eyes. Rest well, pilot. You paid in full. Days later, the survivors rebuilt. The fleet that had once come to feed now guarded the skies. And in the heart of the rebuilt port, a single taxi cockpit sat preserved beneath crystal, its hull etched with a simple phrase, "For every light that dares the dark." Vara became New Halcyon's ambassador, her dragons circling the city like living stars. Evelyn stayed beside her, not as protector but as friend. Sometimes, when the station hummed softly at night, they both swore they heard a faint voice carried through the circuits. "Hey, you still owe me a tip," Evelyn smiled. "Still collecting fares, Mercer?" Vara looked toward the stars. Let him. The galaxy healed, the hunger faded. And in a corner of space once drowned in darkness, one human's choice became legend, proof that even the smallest spark can teach eternity what it means to feel alive. If this story moved you, Subscribe for more HFY sci-fi tales where courage, love, and humanity ignite the stars. Join our journey through the galaxy, one story, one spark, one soul at a time.